I come from a 19th century country, Canada, and this gives me a great advantage in looking at the 20th century.
The 20th century is the age of electric technology. It's the most dominant tool of our time. And reevaluate every thought and every institution you formerly took for granted.
I know exactly where the boundaries begin. Mostly they begin in the United States. So any Canadian can see what you cannot see. That is, you live in the 20th century more or less, and it becomes therefore invisible.
The electric age is changing you. It is changing your family. It is changing your neighborhood. It's changing your education. It's changing your job. When are you going to do? It's changing your government. It's changing your relationship to others. These little circuits are making our world go. The electric age is having a profound effect on us. We are in a period of fantastic change that's coming about at fantastic speed. Your life is changing dramatically, and you are numb to it.
Well, obviously his ideas are complex. I mean, he's an intellectual.
A special kind of intellect.
And his ideas are in the realm of intellect. They're complex ideas. But our society is a complex society. There are many people who want things, simplified. Of course, if intellect spoke in simple words, then people like me would be out of work.
Well, the title, the medium is the massage, is a teaser, a way of getting attention. There's a wonderful sign hanging on a Toronto junkyard which reads, "Help beautify junkyards. Throw something lovely away today." And this is a very effective way of getting people to notice a lot of things. And so the title is intended to draw attention to the fact that a medium is not something neutral. It does something to people. It takes hold of them, it roughs them up, it massages them, it bumps them around, and as it were, chiropractically. And the general roughing up that any society gets from a medium, especially a new medium, is what is intended to be indicated in that title.
The medium of our time, electric technology, everything from the light bulb to the telephone to the computer to jets to nuclear energy, is changing everything. We are in the middle of a tremendous clash between the old and the new.
The medium does things to people, and they're always completely unaware of this. They don't really notice the new medium that is roughing them up. They think of the old medium because the old medium is always the content of the new medium, as movies tend to be the content of TV, and as books used to be the content, novels used to be the content of movies. And so every time a new medium arrives, the old medium is the content, and it is highly observable, highly noticeable. But the real roughing up and massaging is done by the new medium, and it is ignored.
The idea that television, computers, and the rest are just tools that we use for better or worse isn't true. The way you react to them is what's important, not what's in them or on them. How you use your eyes to see, your ears to hear, brings about new forms of human association and action.
The way we refer to this new situation created by the new television massage or treatment of our senses, and it is an evaluation made by the old visual types looking in the rearview mirror as usual of something that is threatening the old values and reversing the old values.
When information is brushed against information, the results are startling and effective.
We are re-entering the old tribal world, But this time we're going to go through the tribal dance and the tribal dream wide awake.
The search for involvement and fill-in takes many forms.
It's like drawing cartoons. You can't fill in all this because none of these things happen without some sort of cause or some sort of reason in the minds of other people. The discotheque, the go-go, as a form, is an area in which anybody who takes time can make interesting discoveries. Many of the things I talk about I find very irritating. That's what leads me to investigate them, you know. You look around for a hair of the dog that bit you. I look into many of the new forms simply because I find them very exasperating and irritating and troublesome to peace of mind and so on. And on the other hand, I've discovered to my amazement that if you take some violent and irritating process, say like radio or TV, and start looking at how it works, what it's doing to you and why it's doing it to you, you can get very enthralled, very excited.
Television has been labeled sterile.
There is nothing sterile about television, except in the eye of the beholder. The FCC type of observation of television, the totally irrelevant, totally incapable of coming to grips with this form. When you speak of sterility, you speak of the movie programs that are shown on TV. You're not talking about television at all.
Marshall McLuhan is a professor of English at the University of Toronto and director of its Center for Culture and Technology. He's the author of several books and hundreds of articles whose sales increase daily and spreads. Suddenly, everybody, press, industry, corporations, and the new youth, have discovered him, and he has become a storm center of extreme controversy.
My largest objections to his principle is that he's basically, and this is a distilled view of what I've gotten from his work and from his presence, a whimsical sociologist rather than a penetrating philosopher or a deep-thinking psychologist.
The ordinary child of our culture is being educated, massaged by the TV form into a state of participation in all sorts of sensuous operations that the old visual culture carefully refrained from and kept distant from.
The week after the book came out, you suddenly heard professors starting talking about the grain and the medium is the message, and suddenly all these little slogans, were all just being picked up, like that, and it became sort of rather mud.
Why should in the TV age scuba diving or skin diving suddenly become popular? I would say right offhand, the reason is very simple. TV watching is scuba diving.
I do believe he is a popularizer. I do believe in 5 years we will look back at this book and perhaps shrug our shoulders. I don't think it's of long or lasting influence.
The movie has become progressively better understood since TV. It has become an art form. It is being given all sorts of special consideration and is even being used as a recruiting center for political talent and other show business.
I think Mr. McLuhan seems to be awake to all of the media of modern life, certainly, and he understands, perhaps either intuitively or with his very broad intelligence, the meanings of the various major art movements, including pop art.
Now that we have an electronic sort of world, we live imaginatively in the old frontier world of, horse opera.
Salinger was the great hero, and strangely enough, for another group, A.A. Milne. So it doesn't have to do with adulthood or maturity necessarily. I believe some of these are fads. However, McLuhan, aside from youngsters who are now involved with Lord of the Rings in the same way, has some interesting things to say. And the fact that Madison Avenue got more involved with him than perhaps academia, and I'm talking about faculty level at academia, I believe is revealing.
The fact is the telephone speeds up all patterns of human interrelationship so that all kinds of decision-making, all kinds of organizational life inside business and in the community are changed completely.
His writing style is extraordinarily up-to-date. It has a kind of swing to it that mediates between highfalutin scholarship and ad writing. And when you read that, although it doesn't read clearly all the way, somehow the cumulative effect of it is that you understand much better than if you heard some stuffy scholar talking in a classroom.
To me, this is his role. He's talking about goggles, you know, and everybody's got a set of goggles. Everybody thinks his own set was given to him by God and is universal, natural, and supposed to be. And what he's saying, he says, just for a minute, think of the possibility that maybe your set of goggles is a private, idiosyncratic set of goggles. And suppose that the generation before had a different set of goggles, and you got this set of goggles, and you both think you're looking at it the same way, and you're not.
No, the praise is not completely unanimous. Though Life has labeled him the oracle of the electric age, and the Herald Tribune said he may be the most important thinker since Newton, Darwin, Freud, and Einstein, he has also been called the high priest of pop culture, the intellectual celebrity, and even that nut professor in Canada.
People being excited about McLuhan is that he really has a great knack for developing slogans, you know, like the medium is the message and the channel and the information, those sorts of slogans, and they're very appealing. I really have nothing against Marshall McLuhan, except that he got everything from Norbert Wiener, who was a mathematician.
The medium I employ is the probe, not the package. That is, I tend to use phrases, I tend to use observations that tease people, that squeeze them, that push at them, that disturb them, because I'm really exploring situations. I'm not trying to deliver some complete set of observations about anything.
I don't think he makes a decision. I don't think he commits himself, which, depending on your view of where our art is going, would either make him a potentially great artist or not one at all.
I'm an investigator. I explore, and instead of explaining, I explore.
Our time is a time for crossing barriers, for erasing old categories, for looking ahead.
Ordinary people prefer to live in the immediate past, bonanza style. That is, modern suburbanite livers in USA live not in modern suburbia, they live in bonanza land. One stage back, the Cartwright territory is a much more comfortable territory to live in than modern suburbia. That is, emotionally, it is much more gratifying and secure to live in bonanza land, and it is the old environment. Every time a new environment forms with a new medium, people go back and live in the old one. When the Cartwrights were actually running USA, say back in 1850, 1870, people weren't living on the frontier at all. They didn't live in bonanza land when bonanza land actually existed. They were living back in Jeffersonian democracy.
Are you living in today's world?
In the new electric world, where everybody is involved in everybody, where everybody is involved in complex processes that are going on in the total environment, the old identity cards that used to constitute private identity, the old means of finding out who am I, will not work. People now have to encounter themselves in the inner world, Kierkegaard or existential style, in order to know who they are. The old methods of merely external identity by marks of occupation, national origin, age grouping, and so on, these will not serve any longer as means of distinguishing private identity.
How much do you make? Have you ever thought about suicide? You are fast losing your private identity. Information is being collected about you, and it's being recorded in a corporate memory, making up one big computerized gossip column. Is unforgiving, unforgetful. And so it goes, every minute of every day. You're the mass man, the collective store of all that ever happened. The walls of your rooms are coming down. It's becoming a simple matter to wire and pick out of your homes your private, once solely personal life, and record it. Bugging is the new means for gathering information, Who knows? Maybe you've been bugged for sound. It couldn't happen. What's that buzz?
Privacy was almost unknown, even in Shakespeare's day. It came in after that period in the 17th, 18th centuries, and it was dependent upon an architecture that sealed off spaces. People didn't live in private spaces in earlier periods, and it was with the coming of the book and the need for areas in private areas in which to read and study and so on that privacy gradually caught on as a value. I don't think privacy has quite the same meaning in our time that it used to have. I know, for example, a big business in Toronto where all the private offices have been dissolved, all the walls have been pulled out so that the participants in this business can sit together around tables in the middle of the big office space so that they can watch each other's responses to stocks and world events and so on. They want a perpetual dialogue going on among themselves as a response to world events.
The family circle has widened, Mom and Dad. The world pool of information, constantly pouring in on your closely knit family, is influencing them a lot more than you think. The instantaneous world of electric informational media involves all of us, all at once. Ours is a brand new world of all-at-onceness. Time, in a sense, has ceased, and space has vanished. Like primitives, we now live in a global village of our own making, a simultaneous happening.
Global village is not created by the motor car or even by the airplane. It's created by instant electronic information movement. The global village is at once as wide as the planet and as small as a little town where everybody is maliciously engaged and poking his nose into everybody else's business. The global village is a world in which you don't necessarily have harmony. You have extreme concern with everybody else's business and much involvement in everybody else's life. It's a sort of Ann Landers column writ large. And it doesn't necessarily mean harmony and peace and quiet, but it does mean huge involvement in everybody else's affairs. And so the global village is as big as the planet and as small as the village post office.
We now share too much about each other to be strangers to each other.
For example, in the age of the information explosion, all the walls go out between age groups, ethnic groups, between family groups, national groups, between economies. The walls all go out. People suddenly have to adjust themselves to this new proximity, this new interrelationship. And merely to tell them that this has happened isn't very helpful. What they need to know is, if it is happening, what does it mean to me? For example, in the matter of, say, automation and jobs. Information at electric speeds blows out all the partitions between jobs, involves people in firms, in operations that are total and inclusive, so that big business has discovered that instead of a person occupying a little specialist slot in the business, it's better to be worked with small teams that can take overall cognizance and consideration of the whole operation of the firm, and come up with all sorts of new solutions for factors that affect the entire operation of the firm, instead of just going ahead doing their little job in the old pattern. Same way with private lives. What had formerly been private life tends to become more and more corporate.
Today, the information level of education in the classroom is far below the level of modern home environment of electronic information.
The reason that the 19th century child could take the curriculum and the schoolroom of his time with some seriousness was that he knew there was a considerable relation between what was going on in the schoolroom and what was going on outside. That is no longer true. We still go on 19th century style with classified subjects, instruction by stenciling on brain pans, and regurgitating in exam form. This is all 19th century factory system schoolwork, but it's no longer supported by the outside environment. The electronic environment makes an information level outside the schoolroom that is far higher than the information level inside the schoolroom. In the 19th century, the knowledge inside the schoolroom was higher than the knowledge outside. Today it is reversed. The child knows that in going to school he is, in a sense, interrupting his education.
Education must shift from stenciled instruction to discovery, probing, and exploration. The young today want roles. They want total involvement now, rather than just fragmented, specialized jobs or goals. How can our youth look forward to a specialized job when the computer world of automation may eliminate that job?
The reason that our educational system is in crisis is because we don't know how to stop this flow of data, this one-way flow of data onto the brain pans of the unfortunate and helpless students.
All media or technologies work us over completely. They are so permeating throughout in their personal, political, psychological, moral, ethical, and social consequences that they leave no part of us untouched.
Any new medium changes the image we have of our own bodies. For example, the motor car is a vast extension of our feet, and it turns you into a paraplegic in a powered armchair, as it were. But it changes completely the image we have of our bodies. With television, the image we have of our bodies is profoundly altered by the fact that the image goes inside us, and this has had a profound effect on the motor car. The safety car is partly the response or the effect of television on the motor car. Involvement in the motor car in a new way makes people feel that it's something they ought to be able to control and from which they might expect a certain degree of safety. This is very much a TV effect on motor car. It may destroy the motor car. But the image we have of our own bodies is completely altered by any new medium. Color television is not the old black and white television with color added. It is a new medium. It completely alters the image we have of ourselves. Our body percepts, as the psychologists say. Our body percept is something of which we are always unconscious. Your body percept changes directly with any alteration in temperature, any alteration in sound, any alteration in input through any of the senses affects your body image. Of this you are completely unaware. Only a psychiatrist can really make you aware of the image you have of your own body.